September is Sickle Cell Awareness Month, and I have Visha Jameson, CEO and founder of Dre 365. Welcome to the program. First of all, tell us about your organization and what led you to start it.
Absolutely. Dre 365 was actually founded in 2016, and it actually is in honor of my son, Dre. We call him Dre. His name is Draylon, and he has sickle cell anemia. So I founded the organization in his honor, not only to promote sickle cell awareness, but also to create a network for parents like myself and caregivers alike so that we could have the support that we needed, and we could join in this fight together to spread awareness and to advocate for all warriors.
Okay, so for people who don't know exactly what sickle cell is, could you just walk us through that?
Absolutely. Sickle cell is a disorder of the red blood cells. We call it a blood disorder, but what happens is normally our bodies would make nice, round, normal, soft blood cells that would flow easily through our bloodstream. But those who have sickle cell disease, they actually make a percentage of sickle-shaped cells. And those cells, if you can imagine a crescent moon or like a banana, they're shaped like a sickle. And they're hard, rigid, and sticky. And a lot of times they don't flow as easily through the bloodstream. Sometimes they actually get trapped. And those entrapments actually cause pain crises. And those crises can happen anywhere where blood flows throughout your body. So if you can only imagine having a crisis, um, arms, legs, back, anywhere where there's blood flow, it's a possibility that you can encounter a crisis.
What could some of the triggers be?
Some triggers a lot of times can be stress, dehydration, um, if there are other infections going on in your body, you know how your body would typically make more red blood cells to fight off the infection. Well, that's not always a good thing for those with sickle cell disease because they're making those sickle shaped cells.
Mm.
And a lot of times as well, this is one of the main ones that we don't realize, but any sudden change in environment, like if it's a major life change, a lot of times that causes stress on the body as well. That can be a trigger. Even things like swimming, like your body going from one temperature to the other, like extreme change.
Wow.
Anything like that, if you're flying and you're not getting enough oxygen, or if you're at high altitudes, I should say, that can cause it as well. There are a number of things that can cause crisis.
All right, so talk to us about who can get sickle cell anemia and how it's if it's transmitted, how?
Okay, sickle cell is actually transmitted from two people who have the trait. So that's why we always stress the importance of knowing your trait status. You're actually born with sickle cell disease. It's not something that you can develop over time or catch per se from anyone. You're actually born with it. So every person, or I won't say every person, in the African American community, they 1 in 13 are born with sickle cell trait. 1 in 365 in our Latino populations, and those numbers, actually spread out a little bit further among other cultures. But when two people have the trait, there's a 25% chance with each individual pregnancy that that child can be born with sickle cell anemia. So that's how it's actually passed on. And that's why we stress the importance of people knowing their trait status.
Well, once you know your trait status and that you have contracted this illness, what types of medications are implemented, or is there anything new as far as is there any new development in terms of, I'm trying to think what I'm trying to say. Wait a minute, hold it. Here's the question. Are there any new medications that can help or even cure this disease?
Right now, there is not a universal cure per se for sickle cell disease. They have made great improvements over the years, and that we're so excited about where the research and development is actually going. There are some treatments that have come out over the years. Some people have undergone like bone marrow transplants or stem cell treatment. Those things like I said, they're not universal cures, but these are some developments that we have had over the years. Other medications have also come on scene, such as Oxbryta, and there's a few others that came out in the past couple years that some of our warriors have had the opportunity to use and have had progress from it. We have medicines such as hydroxyurea and Indari. Our warriors a lot of times take antibiotics as well to help with infections. So these are just some of the medications that we see right now. But as far as, like I said, other treatments and cures, there's not a universal cure just yet.
Talk to us about COVID and how that has complicated things.
Oh, the dreaded COVID.
Yeah.
I know that we all are just wanting it to go away. COVID has wreaked havoc among families everywhere, just in it being such a severe thing in itself, but for those warriors or those of us who have compromised immune systems, it's even worse. So, with someone living with sickle cell disease, they're immunocompromised. So they have to be careful just on a regular basis. But I tell people as well, if we look at x-rays of COVID and we look at x-rays of someone with sickle cell who may have had what's called acute chest syndrome in the
Mhm.
past, those x-rays look very, very similar. Not only do we worry about them actually getting COVID and what may happen with them having COVID on top of the sickle cell, but we also think about those things, those other factors centered around that. So now, we're in the house. We can't all live in a bubble, but that's essentially what it has become over these past almost 2 years. Um, that can be very, very draining on your mental as well. You think about having to deal with sickle cell disease and how heavy that is, and then you add COVID on top of it. You kind of mix the two together. Sometimes that can be challenging as well. And then you create that anxiety. If we do out, the kids just went back to school. So especially for me, I know my anxiety is on 5,000 because,
Yes.
we're sending the kids into a classroom and we don't know for sure. We can't be there with them every day, every hour. So we can't say for sure, what the sanitation process is like. Little Johnny may have come over, into my son's space. And at that time, you don't know what little Johnny is actually coming in contact with. So it's very, very challenging. And we're just all kind of anxious about it because it's just something we don't want to have to deal with.
Wow, wow. I guess you really just have to rely on what you're teaching your son at home so that he can protect himself when he's out there.
And the educators as well,
Yes.
just having that open line of communication.
Hmm.
Now, I see that you are the sickle cell account manager for the American Red Cross South Carolina region. What are some of their initiatives that they're focusing on sickle cell?
Yes, I actually just recently took a role with the Red Cross, and they have a great initiative for sickle cell. Sickle Cell Matters, Sickle Cell Fighters, and that initiative focuses on diversifying our blood supply. As we know, sickle cell disease is not isolated to just the African American community. We know that, I've, been doing this for a while. So I've come across people from all races, cultures
Hmm.
that have sickle cell trait and sickle cell disease. So we know it's not isolated, but in here in the United States, they make up a great portion of the population of those who have sickle cell. So we are actually wanting to diversify that blood supply, because we all know that anytime we need a transfusion, sometimes it can be hard to match. And
Right.
those who have similar are similar blood are oftentimes the better match. And our patients need those transfusions more often. So we have some patients who have several transfusions per month. They may
Mm.
need blood more frequently. And also during those crises, they need blood to help replenish those healthy blood cells. So the initiative is actually centered around sickle cell and helping our warriors to have blood on supply when they need it most.
Can you still donate blood if you've had COVID?
You can donate blood. One of the things that they actually are doing right now, they were doing the antibodies testing. They
Hmm.
are now doing the trait testing when you give blood, but you will be able to actually, it's a pre-screen before you actually give. So there's a series of questions that you'll be asked in the health history to determine whether you are eligible or not. And that's on a case by case basis.
There are events and blood drives going on in honor of sickle cell awareness. Want to give us the details?
Absolutely. We have some super phenomenal events planned out for Sickle Cell Awareness Month. On the 18th, we actually have the I Love Someone with Sickle Cell Family Day down in Vance, South Carolina. And also on the 18th, our Florence satellite office is doing a virtual sickle cell walk as well. And on the 25th, there's also a family day that will be taking place up in Lancaster, South Carolina. We're so excited about the family days because, as we know, sickle cell affects the entire family. And it is a family thing to where we all get to come together and celebrate our warriors. And also throughout the month, we have blood drives going on throughout the state. I know there's quite a few here in the Midlands. We have some going on in the Charleston area as well. You can go to redcrossblood.org, key in your zip code, and find the blood drives nearest you. Those will be sickle cell drives going on. So we also would love, love, love to have you come out and donate as well.
What are some other ways that people can get involved in honor of Sickle Cell Awareness Month?
You can get involved by going out and donating blood. You can also, if you see posts or anything like that, like, share, any chance that you have the opportunity to be a part of any events. But to close out the month, we'll have a few blood drives here in the Midlands as well as in the Charleston area. On the 26th, the Zeta Phi Beta Lambda Nu Zeta chapter will host, as well as in Kingstree on the 28th at the Kingstree Recreation Center. And the men of Kappa Alpha Psi will be hosting on September 30th in Somerville. Here in Columbia, we are so honored to have Grace Christian Church that will host on the 26th. Benedict College, who is a great, great supporter, on the 28th, and also at Ridgeview High School on September 30th. So we'll be closing out the month strong with those events, and they will all be focused on sickle cell. You can get some great information and help us to spread awareness at all of those events.
Lastly, Visha, how can people help your organization, Dre 365?
Go to Facebook and Instagram, like our page, Dre 365 on
That's
Facebook.
DRE 365. Okay.
That's right. DRE 365 on Facebook, and at DRE 365 SC on Instagram. Like, share, comment. You can actually support our Family Day as well. Go to either of those pages and send us a quick inbox and say, hey, I want to know how I can support. You can come out and bring your families, bring everyone you know to get this good information. We also need volunteers. So bring your hands, your working hands as well. And like I said, if you know any families that have warriors, reach out to them and just ask them what you can do to help and support them individually as well.
All right, Bisha, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. And let's not wait until next year to talk again.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.